Bismillah walhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala wa ba'd. Ikhwan, before we move on to the following point of resemblance between Abu Usaama and Abu Hassan al-Misri, there was still one or two notes to be mentioned concerning the affair of al-Muwazanat. And you'll remember in the last sitting we discussed the manhaj al-Muwazanat that innovated bid'i manhaj and bid'i methodology and principle utilized by the people of Tamyi' and Hizbiyah and the people, Ikhwan, who veer towards the people of innovation and manifest love for them, even though from them are those who claim that they do not work with this manhaj al-Muwazanat and that they're Salafi and that they're upon the manhaj of the Salaf in dealing with and having ta'amul with the people of bid'ah. We said, Ikhwan, that the manhaj of Muwazanat is a manhaj that is bid'i, and that it is a manhaj that goes against the methodology of the Salaf of this ummah, and that wallahi is the case. It is a methodology, Ikhwan, that is evil. And if one wants to speak about corrupt methodologies and corrupt manahij, then let them speak about the likes of this manhaj. Ikhwan, it is in opposition, no doubt, to that which the Salaf of this ummah were upon. And we have a number of narrations that establish that the Salaf of this ummah, they were a people, Ikhwan, who were diametrically opposed to acting upon and utilizing this methodology. Imam Ahmad rahimahullah ta'ala, when one studies his biographies and the advice, his biography and the advice that he has given to a number of individuals and a number of people who were from the people of knowledge of his time, that he advised concerning certain characters, the likes of Hussein al-Karabisi, the likes of al-Harith al-Muhasibi, and when he advised against him, he didn't mention anything good about them. In that regard, for example, we have the statement of the son of Imam Ahmad, Abdullah ibn Ahmad, who mentions, سمعت أبي يقول من قال لفظي بالقرآن مخلوق هذا كلام سيء رديء أو كلام سوء رديء وهو كلام الجهمية. فقلت له إن حسين الكرابيس يقول هذا فقال كذب هتكه الله الخبيث. He mentions that indeed, and that is Imam Abdullah bin Ahmad, and Imam Abdullah bin Ahmad was an Imam in his own right, the son of Al-Imam Ahmad. He became, Ikhwan, an Imam in his own right. No doubt his father is most well known for his Imamah and most well known for him being referred to with the honorific title of Imam Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, when it is said the Imam of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, then no doubt the reference is to Imam Ahmad. And you'll find that present throughout the books and the writings, Ikhwan, of Ahlul Ilm, that they will mention Imam Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, and they mean by that Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. He said, I asked my father, Man qala lafzi bil Qur'ani makhluq, whosoever says that my utterance of the Qur'an is created, he said that I heard my father say, Man qala lafzi bil Qur'ani makhluq, هذا كلام سوء رديء. He said, whosoever says that my utterance with the Qur'an is created, and this is evil, ugly kalam, evil, ugly speech, and it is the speech of the Jahmiyyah. So I said to him, this is Abdullah now speaking about his own statement. So I said to him, I said to my father, إن حسين الكرابيسي يقول هذا. He said, Hussein al-Karabisi, he says this. فقال كذب هتكه الله الخبيث. He said that Hussein al-Karabisi makes this statement. And Hussein al-Karabisi, with many of those who were present at that time, was considered from the people of knowledge, Imam. He said Hussein al-Karabisi says this. Imam Ahmad, he mentioned kadhab or kadhab. He has lied. Hatakahullah. May Allah tear him up. May Allah disgrace him. Al-Khabith, an evil individual. And that, Ikhwan, though there were from among the people those who considered him a person of knowledge and a person of ilm, Imam Ahmad, Ikhwan, that did not prevent Imam Ahmad from making the statement that he made concerning him. Because that is the position concerning Ahlul Bid'ati wal Dalala, that they are dishonored in mention, and they are not given the honorific titles, and one does not work with the manhaj al-muwazanat. One does not say, well, he is, mashallah, he does have and possess with him ilm of hadith and knowledge of such and such, and he is one that gives and he's generous and his students love him. And la. He mentioned kadhab, hatakahu Allah al-khabith. He's lied. May Allah tear him up and disgrace him. The khabith, this filthy individual. And then he, likewise, Imam Ahmad, the son of Imam Ahmad, he makes mention of other narrations from Al-Imam Ahmad himself, that Imam Ahmad spoke about certain individuals. He spoke about Hussein al-Karabisi on a number of occasions. He mentioned him on more than one occasion. We have the statement of Ali ibn Abi Khalid, who said, قلت لأحمد إن الشيخ لا شيخ حضر معنا وهو جاري وقد نهيته عن رجل ويحب أن يسمع قولك فيه حارث القسير، يعني حارثا المحاصبي، وكنت رأيتني معه منذ سنين كثيرة فقلت لي لا تجالسه ولا تكلمه، فلم أكلمه حتى الساعة. قال الشيخ وهذا الشيخ يجالسه فما تقول فيه؟ قال فرأيت أحمد قد احمر لونه وانتفخت أوداجه وعيناه وما رأيته هكذا قط، ثم جعل ينتفض ويقول ذاك فعل الله به وفعل، ليس يعرف ذاك إلا من خبره وعرفه. ويه ذاك لا يعرفه إلا من قد خبره وعرفه، ذاك جالسه المغازلي ويعقوب وفلان فأخرجهم إلى رأي جهم هلكوا بسببه. فقال له الشيخ يا أبا عبد الله يروي الحديث ساكن خاشع من قصته ومن قصتي. فغضب أبو عبد الله وجعل يقول لا يغرنك خشوعه ولينه، ويقول لا تغتر بتنكيس رأسه فإنه رجل سوء، ذاك لا يعرفه إلا من قد خبره، لا تكلمه ولا كرامة له، كل من حدث بحديث رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وكان مبتدعا تجلس إليه لا ولا كرامة ولا نعمى عين. That he mentions, that is Ali ibn Abi Khalid. He said that I said to Imam Ahmad that this sheikh, and that was a sheikh that was present from among his neighbors, he said قد نحيته الرجل ويحب أن يسمع قولك فيه، يحب أن يسمع قولك فيه، حارث القسير يعني حارث المحاسبي. He said that verily I have prevented him and have warned him against the man, but he wishes to hear what you have to say about him. And that is Harith al-Qasir, يعني Harith al-Mahasibi. He said, and you remember you saw me with him a number of years ago, and you said to me, don't sit with him and don't speak to him. And I have not spoken to him until this day. And this, ikhwan, is an important point. This is an important point. And that is, ikhwan, that look at the position of Ali ibn Abi Khalid, who was a person from the scholars of hadith at that time, at the time of Imam Ahmad. Imam Ahmad said that individual, Al-Harith al-Mahasi, don't sit with him and don't speak to him. And what did he say? Did he say, I'm going to go and investigate him, I'm going to go and check him out, I'm going to go and, I'm not just because you said it, I'm just going to take your word, just because Sheikh said, as we hear Abu Usaama mentioning, just because Sheikh said, just going to take his word? And that, brothers and sisters, goes against, no doubt, that which we see the Imam of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah being upon. If that Imam and if that Sheikh is a Shaykhun thiqa, if that Sheikh is one that is upright, trustworthy, we don't know of him يعني speaking with desires, with hawa. We don't know except that he is one that gives يعني or works with hujaj, works with barahin, works with proof. He doesn't speak with desires. Then ikhwan, Ahlul Ilm have on the basis of their statement taken their statement and sufficed with their statement. Taken their statement and sufficed with their statement. And that, no doubt, is the method and is the methodology and the manhaj of our Salaf. And that, ikhwan, is what we see manifest in the likes of this narration. Yani that the Sheikh, he asked Imam Ahmad, and he responded to Imam Ahmad. But we hear Abu Usaama making statements such as the following.
As-Salafi, ikhwani, is for the individual to say, I know this man. The Sheikh comes and says, this man is a mubtadi', and I know this man. I'm not going to say just because the Sheikh said it, I'm going to follow him.
Just because the Sheikh said it, I'm going to follow him? I know the man.
No way in the world. As-Salafi is not like that. I don't know what happened to the minds of the Salafi people who were allowed to be affected by this dawah of SP here and in America especially.
So mashallah, here we see this methodology of SP يعني going back in time, ikhwan. يعني that SP and their methodology, we see it manifest here upon the Salaf of this ummah, Ali ibn Abi Khalid. He said, I said to Imam Ahmad that this sheikh that has come with me now, I have prohibited him and I've warned him against a person. You saw me with that same man a number of years ago. فَقُلْتَ لِي لَا تُجَالِسُ وَلَا تُكَلِّمُ فَلَمْ أُكَلِّمُهُ حَتَّى السَّاعَةِ. You said to me, don't speak to him and don't sit with him, and I haven't spoken to him until this very day. Even though he was walking with the man for years and for a period. He mentions, وَهَذَا الشَّيْخ يُجَالِسُ. He said, and this sheikh here, he sits with him now. So what do you say about him? فَرَأَيْتُ أَحْمَدْ قَدْ إِحْمَرَّ لَوْنَهُ. He said, I saw Ahmad's face become red, and his veins began to protrude, and his eyes. And I have never seen him like this before. And then he began to say, him? That one? فَعَلَ اللَّهُ بِهِ وَفَعَلَ. Allah has done such and such with him. No one knows him other than the one who is acquainted with him. No one knows him other than the one who is acquainted with him. Beware, beware, beware. No one knows him except the one who is acquainted with him. That was an individual who Al-Maghazili sat with. And Ya'qub bin Shayba sat with. And so he turned them away from the path of the Sunnah to the opinion of Jahm. Jahm bin Safwan, the opinion of the Jahmiyyah. Halaku bi sababi. They were destroyed because of him. They were destroyed because of him. Al-Harith al-Muhasibi. And so after making that statement, that person, the sheikh, the one who came in with the person who made the initial statement, the one who was being warned against him. So we have one who was already warned by Imam Ahmad, and that individual abandoned Al-Harith al-Muhasibi. Then we have him coming into the sitting of Imam Ahmad with another person who was his neighbor, who sits with Harith al-Muhasibi. And so he said to Imam Ahmad, you remember you warned me against Al-Harith al-Muhasibi. This guy sits with him now. This sheikh sits with him now. So what do you say to him? So then Imam Ahmad made that statement. And so that person, when Imam Ahmad made the statement, bearing in mind, ikhwan, Yani he mentioned concerning him, all he mentioned was nobody knows him other than the one who's acquainted with him. It's only those who are well acquainted with him. Don't sit with him. So that individual came back and said, or retorted by saying, Ya Aba Abdullah, yarwi al-hadith sakin khashi'a. He said, oh Abu Abdullah, but he narrates hadith tranquil, with composure. And from his story is such and such and such and such. And this happened with him and that happened with him. فَغَضِبَ Abu Abdullah. And so Abu Abdullah, Imam Ahmad, he became angry. And then he began to say, لا يغرنك خشوعه ولينا. Don't let his apparent fear of Allah and his gentleness fool you. Don't let that fool you. لا تغتر بتنكيس رأسي. And don't be tricked and fooled by the bowing of his head. The fact that he walked with his head bowed. His composure. His state. He apparently seems to fear Allah Azza wa Jal. Don't be fooled by that. فإنه رجل سوء. He's an evil man. ذاك لا يعرفه إلا من قد خبره. No one knows him other than the one who is well acquainted with him. لا تكلمه. Don't speak to him. ولا كرامة. And there is no nobility for him. No respect for him. And then he went on to address the same individual. كل من حدث بحديث رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وكان مبتدعا تجلس إليه. Any individual that narrates the hadith of the Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم but is a mubtadi', you're going to sit with him? لا ولا كرامة. No, and no respect. And so, ikhwan, we see the manhaj of the Salaf, the methodology of the Salaf of this ummah, bearing in mind, أيها الإخوة, Imam Ahmad, as it relates to the levels of the scholars of Jarh wa Ta'dil, the A'immatun Nuqat, is considered from the Mutawassitin. He's considered from the middle bracket. He's not considered from the Mutasahilin, from the easy one, from the lax ones or the easygoing ones. Neither is he from the Mutashaddidin. Rather, he's from the Mutawassitin. Those who are considered in the middle. Yet still we hear this from this balanced Imam then. And that is not to say, ikhwan, that there is an issue with the Mutasahilin or the Mutashaddidin. When they make jarh, and their jarh is based upon adillah, and this is the issue. If the jarh is based upon adillah, and it is based upon proofs and evidences, then one does not say, Yahi, that's too harsh, Yahi, that is such and such, Yahi, that is this or that is that. If it is based upon proofs and evidences establishing that these things oppose the methodology of the Salaf of this ummah, then ikhwan, that is sufficient for the Salafi. So Imam Ahmad said, don't sit with him. No respect for him. Anybody who narrate hadith and is a mubtadi is going to sit with him. And that is a warning, ikhwan, against the YouTube era and this YouTube age and the YouTube generation. Careful, ikhwan, wallahi. Just clicking through and mashallah, he sounds good, and on video he looks fantastic. Intabi, ikhwan. Ahlus Sunnah, ikhwan, did not work with ilm in this way. This was not from the manhaj al-talaqqi. It's not from the methodology of taking knowledge with the people of Sunnah among the Salaf. They would ascertain individuals and the veracity of individuals first and foremost before they paid any attention to them. Before they paid any attention to them. But now we have individuals, ikhwan, just on the basis of having a few YouTube videos, then all of a sudden, mashallah, you can see that he's Salafi. Abu Usaama makes a statement concerning a shab and a youth that he mentions in one of his videos that he's seen on YouTube. And he mentions that I seen him just before while I was looking at some of these videos. And you can tell that he's Salafi, mashallah. Now I don't know the brother or the individual Salafi or not Salafi. Allahu A'lam. I don't know. But those are the principles that you're working with, Ya Khalifa. Yani click a YouTube video and you can tell that it's Salafi. Hakada. And that is what you're nurturing the Shabab upon? Billah. Another narration, Ikhwan, from the Salaf of this Ummah, that was narrated by Imam At-Tirmidhi in Sharh Ilal, or narrated by Imam At-Tirmidhi, and likewise mentioned by Imam Ibn Rajab in Sharh Ilal At-Tirmidhi. The narration of Rafi' ibn Ashras, who mentioned من عقوبة الفاسق المبتدع أن لا تذكر محاسنه. From the uquba and from the retribution of the fasiq al-mubtadi', the one who is a mubtadi' and an innovator, is that his good are not mentioned. His good are not mentioned. And that, ikhwan, as we mention and reiterate, has in it a number of evils. When the good is mentioned, ikhwan, it overclouds the evil that we're warning against. That is seen similarly in the story of Imam al-Baqillani. Imam al-Baqillani, ikhwan, was one that was affected by the Aqidah al-Ash'ariyah. By the Aqidah al-Ash'ariyah. And there is a narration that wherein al-Baqillani, or related to al-Baqillani, and that is that he mentions that Abu Dharr al-Harawi, who used to lean towards the Ash'ari madhab, Abu Dharr al-Harawi, that he mentions سألته من أين لك هذا, that I asked him, where do you get this from? Yani, where do you get this madhab from? This Ash'ariyah, where do you get it from? And so he said, كنت ماشيا مع أبي الحسن الدارقطني فلقينا القاضي أبا بكر بن طيب الأشعري فالتزمه الدارقطني وقبل وجهه وعينيه فلما افترقا قلت من هذا الذي صنعت به ما لم أعتقد أنك تصنعه وأنت إمام وقتك؟ فقال هذا إمام المسلمين والذاب عن الدين القاضي أبو بكر بن طيب. فمن ذلك الوقت تقررت إليه واقتديت بمذهبي. That he mentions that I was with Imam al-Daraqutni, and while they were walking they came across Al-Qadi Abu Bakr ibn Tayyib al-Ash'ari, Ash'ari individual. So Imam al-Daraqutni hugged him and he began to kiss him on his face and between his eyes. And so when they split and parted company, I said to him, who was this that I see you doing such an action with, the type of action I would never believe would have come from you, and you're the Imam of your time? He said, this is the Imam of the Muslimin and the defender of the deen, Al-Qadi Abu Bakr ibn Tayyib, and this individual was al-Ash'ari. And so he mentioned, from that time I continued to visit him and I took on board his manhaj and his aqidah. Yani I took on board his madhab. And that then indicates, ikhwan, the evils of showing love to the mubtadi'. That when one sees that, ikhwan, then you are followed upon that. When one sees it or hears it, if you're one that is respected, then know that you'll be followed upon that. And so, ikhwan, the manhaj al-muwazanat is an evil manhaj without doubt. And it goes against a number of the principles, ikhwan, that we find, or a number of issues. There are a number of manifestations of evil and within this methodology and this manhaj of al-muwazanah. From the evils, ikhwan, that are present within the manhaj al-muwazanat is that in it we have the affair of tamyi' of the aqidah of al-wala wal-bara. The aqidah of al-wala wal-bara, ikhwan, it is destroyed with this manhaj al-muwazana, because by necessity manhaj al-muwazana necessitates that adl and justice is to mention people's good alongside their evil. And so, ikhwan, we find that the manhaj and the methodology of al-wala wal-bara, loving and hating for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, it disappears. Because now everyone is mentioned with good and with bad. So everybody is on a similar pedestal because their good and their bad are mentioned alongside each other. And so the affair of loving and hating for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, that, ikhwan, eventually it becomes diluted and eventually it disappears. From the evils of al-muwazana is that it opens the door for the mulhideen and for the enemies of Islam to cause or to attempt to create doubt within the text of the Kitab and the Sunnah. Because they will begin to mention that, look how Allah dispraises the people of the book and dispraises the Kuffar of Quraysh and dispraises the Yahud and so on. And that is unjust. And so the one who accepts the manhaj al-muwazana will accept then that Allah Azza wa Jal is unjust in that which He has mentioned. Wal-iyadhu billah. Similarly, in it, ikhwan, is it will cause the mu'allafat and the authorships of the great imams of the Sunnah to be dishonored and disrespected and looked down upon. Those great authorships in Jarh wa Ta'deel. Those books, ikhwan, that concentrate, for example, just upon the du'afa, just upon the weak narrators. The likes of the du'afa wal matrukeen of al-Imam al-Bukhari, the likes of the du'afa wal matrukeen of al-Imam al-Nasa'i, يعني the du'afa, or the weak narrators, and the abandoned narrators, that both of these imams authored books concerning them. The likes of al-Majruheen of Ibn Hibban, يعني those narrators that have been disparaged. Imam Ibn Hibban has a book just about them. The likes of al-du'afa wal-matrukeen of Imam al-Daraqutni. The likes, ikhwan, of Lisan al-Mizan of al-Hafidh ibn Hajar, that is filled with disparaging statements concerning individuals. And the books, ikhwan, the likes of al-du'afa of Ibn Adi. Ikhwan, there are many authorships just around the affair of Jarh. And if you open them, you will find such and such kadhab. Such and such is a liar. This one, Dajjal. That one, Shaitan. The third, Dajjalun min ad-Dajajila. A Dajjal from the Dajajila. And so on and so forth, ikhwan, volumes of works from our great noble scholars, upright imams, upright ai', fearing Allah Azza wa Jal, known for their zuhud and for their fear of Allah and their taqwa. But that did not prevent them from carrying out what the deen necessitates. It did not prevent them from carrying out, ikhwan, that which is a wajib from the wajibat of the deen. And it didn't affect them, those who came and will yet yatafalsaf. And this is unjust, and this is a corrupt manhaj and a corrupt methodology. Ya akhi, this is manhaj salafi. Shi'tum am abaytum. This is the manhaj of the Salaf, whether you like that or not. And that brings to mind, ikhwan, the statement of more than one of the ai' of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the a'immatul hadith, who mentioned concerning the ilm of hadith, from among them Imam Zuhri and others, ilm al-hadith dhakar. يحبه الذكور من الرجال ويكرهه إناثهم. He said ilm al-hadith is a male. It is loved by the males among the men, and it is hated by the effeminate ones. And so, ikhwan, we find in the lectures and in the advice of Abu Usaama, constantly, ikhwan, dispraising Jarh wa Ta'deel. Constantly dispraising Jarh wa Ta'deel, to the extent that we hear him making mention or referring to the people of Sunnah as the people of Jarh wa Ta'deel, they'll say. The people of, dispraising the ilm of Jarh wa Ta'deel, and those who maintain that the affair has not changed in our time. And this modern era and this modern age hasn't led to a nullification of the science of Jarh wa Ta'deel. Rather, ikhwan, Jarh wa Ta'deel is something that is established, and it is a branch and a science from the sciences of the ilm of this religion, and it has not been abrogated, and it is no doubt from the noblest of the sciences within the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yet still we find the statement of Abu Usaama concerning Jarh wa Ta'deel.
Some people have the opinion that testing people about individuals is from the Sunnah, the Minhaj as-Salafi. Jarh wa Ta'deel and teaching it to brand new Muslims is the Minhaj of the Salaf. And to say this is not from the Minhaj, they say you're against the Jarh wa Ta'deel. Not against the Jarh wa Ta'deel, nor are we against testing people. Who do we test the people about? We test the people when we say to the people, what's your position concerning the companions? What's your position concerning the great scholars of Al-Islam? As for an individual who most of the people don't even know, a localized fitna, and then you come and say the Salaf tested the people. No, they didn't test the people about people who are unknown like this.
And we've already clarified, Ikhwan, the fallacy of that statement. The fact that that statement, Ikhwan, is batil. The affair of imtihan is thabit and established. Localized fitna and testing people concerning that established. And again, Ikhwan, we hear him making statements like, well, we're not against Jarh wa Ta'deel. Well, in actuality, we find elsewhere he's speaking against Jarh wa Ta'deel, and as we say, mocking and ridiculing Jarh wa Ta'deel. The people of Jarh wa Ta'deel would say. I mean, it's another statement of his.
For you to follow people, you're not a leader, you're following. It's better to be a follower, but you're on the Sunnah, than it is to be the leader in innovation. The leader in these innovative methods and ideas, and Jarh wa Ta'deel and all of this stuff, you're confusing the people with.
MashaAllah. Jarh wa Ta'deel and all this stuff that you're confusing the people with. And so, Ikhwan, Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, ja'alana Allah wa iyyakum minhum, have no doubt concerning our methodology and our manhaj. Rather, it is a methodology and a manhaj that is thabit, a methodology and a manhaj that we have no doubt about. In the last sitting, we discussed, Ikhwan, the statement of Abu Usaama and his attempt to establish the fact that Ahlul Bid'ah may be utilized, Ahlul Bid'ah may be worked with, and that it isn't as these people say, يعني Jarh wa Ta'deel, and you can't work with Ahlul Bid'ah and so on and so forth. Rather, Ahlul Bid'ah may be worked with. And he uses a number of, or attempts to bring a number of evidences and adillah, and he speaks about the issue in order to dispraise those who speak against Ahlul Bid'ah. And that, Ikhwan, is something, again, that we see only fortifies the fact that if he wasn't against the manhaj al-muwazana, then why would you bring and why would you try and substantiate this position, the position against speaking against Ahlul Bid'ah, with evidence and quotations from Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah and quotations from Al-Imam Ibn al-Qayyim. That he brings quotations, Ikhwan, from the likes of these A'imma, all of them speaking about when we can work with Ahlul Bid'ah, or that in some scenarios, we have to work with Ahlul Bid'ah, using that for no reason other than to establish the fact that our position is incorrect, that the position of speaking against the people of Bid'ah is not the case and is not absolutely so. Rather, here we have Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah establishing that we can work with Ahlul Bid'ah. Ibn al-Qayyim mentioning that we can work with Ahlul Bid'ah. For example, he mentions
Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah has a book, Majmu' al-Fatawa, book, volume 28, page number 212. I'm not going to read all of it. Another example.
And so here he mentions the statement of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, volume 28, page 212, and then he quotes the statement of Shaykh al-Islam that if one cannot establish the wajibat of ilm and jihad except by using those who have bid'ah with them, and the evil of their bid'ah is less than the wajib that we're trying to establish, then it is permissible to do so. And then he goes on thereon after to quote from Ibn al-Qayyim. He mentions concerning Ibn al-Qayyim.
Another example of that is what the student of Ibn Taymiyyah mentioned, and he is no other than Ibn al-Qayyim in his book Zad al-Ma'ad. It's volume 3, and it's page 302. He said, concerning the Sulh of al-Hudaybiyah, I don't have time to get into that, but the Sulh of al-Hudaybiyah is when the Prophet ﷺ was going to perform the manasik and the kuffar stopped him, and he made an agreement with them. And the agreement seemed as if it was against the Muslims and for them. And one of the Muslims, Abu Jundal, he came and he was tied up, and then Nabi gave him back to the kuffar. And it's a tremendously beneficial incident. Ibn al-Qayyim said about that incident of Sulh al-Hudaybiyah, from the benefits of Sulh al-Hudaybiyah, everything that transpired, he said, is that the mushrikeen, the kuffar, and the people of innovation, and the evil people, the fujur, the fajr, the evil person, and the people of the zalama, the oppressors, those people, if they are asking the Muslims to do something in which the hurumat of Allah is going to be respected, something that the religion supports is going to be taken care of, he said it's permissible to do that.
So he uses and quotes Ibn al-Qayyim. Secondly, the student of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, and he quotes from Zad al-Ma'ad, volume 3, page 303 actually, and not 302 as he mentioned there. And then he mentioned that the mushrikun and the people of bid'ah and the people of sin, the transgressors, the wrongdoers, if they seek from the Muslims an affair wherein the hurumat of Allah Azza wa Jalla are going to be respected, then it's permissible for us to respond to them in that. Again, Ikhwan, why would you even mention those two quotes from Shaykh al-Islam and Ibn Taymiyyah that justify working or using or acting with and working with the people of bid'ah? But there is a point, Ikhwan, that I want to mention, and inshallah we're going to round up with this note, and that is that the quotation, those two quotations in and of themselves, know that they're not from the same book, and neither are they from the same author, from the same imam. Rather, they're from two separate imams from the A'imma of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Shaykh Ibn Taymiyyah on the one hand, and Ibn al-Qayyim on the other. And the portion that he quotes from those two books, then there is a book that I have in front of me, and it is called Al-Ijaz, and it was authored, Ikhwan, by Sa'd bin Barak. Sa'd bin Barak is from the Jama'ah and from the group of Safar al-Hawali and Salman al-Uda and A'id Qarni and the likes of those individuals, are well known for their hizbiyah, Ikhwan. He wrote a book called Al-Ijaz, wherein he discusses the difference of opinion among the scholars of our time. The book that he wrote has an introduction from a number of individuals. From them, it has an introduction from Salman al-Uda. So you know which Jama'ah we're dealing with. It has an introduction from Salman al-Uda, Abdul Aziz bin Qasim, Abdullah bin Mani al-Ruqi, and likewise from those who have given him an introduction to this book, Abu Hasan al-Ma'ribi. In the introduction of Abu Hasan al-Ma'ribi, he discusses for a number of pages, and then he comes to a statement wherein he says, فإذا تحقق كثير من المختلفين في أسباب تدابرهم وتحاجرهم وجدوها أمورا قد اختلف السلف في مثلها أو في أعظم منها مع بقاء الحشمة والعصمة والحرمة بينهم، فأين المتشدقين باتباع السلف من أحوال السلف وأقوالهم? He said that if most of the people who are differing, in our time, if they really looked into the reasons for their differing and for them boycotting each other, they would find that they were actually affairs, he claims, they were actually affairs that the Salaf differed about. Similar, the Salaf differed about similar affairs. Or that they differed about that which was greater than those affairs. But they still had the brotherhood and the love and the honor and respect and so on between them. So then he mentions, so where then are those, or where is this in regards to those who are flapping their lips about following the way of the Salaf? Where are they? Those who flap their lips about following the way of the Salaf, where are they in regards to the true state of the Salaf and their statements? And then he goes on to mention, just as if anyone who listens to that maqta and that clip or that sound bite from Abu Usaama, prior to him mentioning Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, and prior to him mentioning Ibn al-Qayyim, he goes on to mention that sometimes it may be wajib or mustahab to work with the people of bid'ah and cooperate with them in jihad or other than that, in different areas, and not just boycott them as these people say. Abu Hassan brings the exact same argument here. He mentions بل قد يصل الأمر إلى استحباب أو وجوب التعاون مع من فيه نوع بدعة. He said rather the affair may reach the extent where it is desirable or wajib to cooperate with someone who has bid'ah with them, if the general good for Islam, or if it returns back to the general good for Islam and for the Muslims. And that may occur, for example, in making jihad behind the A'immatul Jawr, making jihad behind the Imams of Jawr, of transgression and of oppression, and if the maslahah for making jihad with that individual is greater. And if it is greater, for example, than making hajar of the mubtadi', then boycotting the mubtadi'. In this case, one would work alongside him, Abu Hassan claims. Then he goes on to mention, وَلِذَا قال الشيخ الإسلام ابن تيمية. And pay attention, إخوان. For that reason, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, he mentions, فإذا تعذر إقامة الواجبات من العلم والجهاد وغير ذلك إلا بمن فيه بدعة. He goes on to quote the exact same quote from Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah that Abu Usaama quotes, using the exact same prelude to the quote that Abu Usaama mentions. And then he goes on to mention, بل قال الإمام ابن القيم رحمه الله تعالى في زاد المعاد الجزء الثالث 303. He said, in fact, Ibn al-Qayyim mentioned in Zad al-Ma'ad, volume 3, page 303, when he speaks about the benefits of the Pact of Hudaybiyah. Sound familiar, Ikhwan? The exact same quote that Abu Usaama mentions. And then he mentions the exact same portion. From its benefits is that the mushrikun and Ahlul Bid'ah and the people of fujur and sin and the transgressors and so on, if they seek from you an affair that has in it or honoring the hurumat of Allah, that they are to be answered and to be responded to in regards to that. The exact same two quotes with the exact same prelude. Now, either we're going to say, Ikhwan, that by coincidence, sheer coincidence, Abu Usaama happened to come across the same quote from Shaykh al-Islam and the same quote from Ibn al-Qayyim, just happened to quote the exact same small paragraph from the page, from both books. This one volume 28 over there, that one volume 3 in Zad. Either we're going to say that that was purely coincidental. Just so happens that he has the same lead up, the same prelude to the quotations, purely coincidental. Or we're going to say, Ikhwan, that he has taken from him. And the just aqil, I'm sure, will conclude the second. But if only the two of them would have read those quotations to the end of those quotations, then that would have shone proper light upon the statement of Shaykh al-Islam and proper light upon the statement of Al-Imam Ibn al-Qayyim. And we'll reiterate, Ikhwan, the fact that he quoted and he made mention of both of those quotes. The first of them,
Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah has a book, Majmu' al-Fatawa, book, volume 28, page number 212. I'm not going to read all of it.
volume 20, page 28, 212. Second
Another
quote.
example of that is what the student of Ibn Taymiyyah mentioned, and he's no other than Ibn Qayyim in his book Zad al-Ma'ad. It's volume 3, and it's page 302.
As we mentioned, it is actually 303. Same quote. In any case, he quotes the same paragraph. So those two quotes, Ikhwan, the exact same quotes that Abu Hassan mentions here. Exact same quote with the exact same lead up to the quote. But as we mentioned, if only Ikhwan they read and continued reading, then you would find that both of them, Al-Imam Ibn Al-Qayyim and Al-Imam Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, that both of them, Ikhwan, completed their statement with that which has in it benefit that returns back to the Salafi manhaj, the manhaj al-Salafi as-Sahih. Ibn al-Qayyim, after he mentions the affair of the Pact of Hudaybiyah, and after him mentioning that if the people of Fujur and so on and the people of sin, if they seek from us such and such and such and such, then they are responded to that. Imam Ibn al-Qayyim continues, لا على كفرهم وبغيهم, but they are not responded. They are not responded to their kufr. One does not respond to their kufr or to their oppression. وَيُمْنَعُونَ مَا سِوَى ذَلِكَ, rather they are prevented from that which is other than that. They are prevented from anything other than that small issue that we may agree upon or agree with them upon. He said, فَكُلُّ مَنِ الْتَمَسَ الْمُعَاوَنَ عَلَى مَحْبُوبٍ لِلَّهِ تَعَالَى مُرْضٍ لَهُ أُجِيبَ إِلَى ذَلِكَ. So every individual that seeks aid upon something that is loved by Allah Azza wa Jal, and he is something that he is pleased with, then we respond to them in that. كائنا من كان, regardless of who they are. And then he mentioned ما لم يترتب على إعانته على ذلك, as long as aiding him upon that does not lead, or aiding him upon that mahbub does not lead to مبغوض لله أعظم منه, does not lead to something that is hated by Allah that is greater than it. So as long as our cooperation does not lead to something that is hated by Allah greater than this beloved thing that we're working with them with, in and upon. And I put it to you, Ikhwan, that Allah Azza wa Jal was the one that legislated ta'awun and legislated enjoying the good and forbidding the evil and giving da'wah and so on. And Allah Azza wa Jal was the same one that legislated, ayyuha al-ikhwa, Rabbul Alameen was the same one that legislated that if you hear those يَخُوضُونَ فِي آيَاتِنَا, those who enter into our verses, yani with ill speech, فَأَعْرِضْ عَنْهُمْ, then turn away from them, حَتَّى يَخُوضُوا فِي حَدِيثٍ غَيْرِ, until they enter into different speech, yani until they leave alone speaking ill concerning the statements of Allah Azza wa Jal, dishonoring them, ridiculing the verses of Allah Azza wa Jal. And the scholars of tafsir, Imam al-Shawkani and others have mentioned, it's a reference to Ahlul Bid'ati wal Dalala. It's a reference to the people of innovation. And thus it is Allah Azza wa Jal that has legislated abandoning them and turning away from them. Similarly, ayyuha al-ikhwa, if they were to continue reading the portion and the statement, then they would have come across the following that Ibn Qayyim mentions, وَهَذَا مِنْ أَدَقِّ الْمَوَاضِعِ أَوْ أَصْعَبِهَا وَأَشَقِّهَا عَلَى النُّفُوسِ, that this is from the most intricate of things, the most intricate of affairs, and the most difficult and the most trying upon the soul. Not easy, ikhwan, to determine that this thing is greater in sin or is greater than that thing that we believe has something in it that is beloved and that Allah Azza wa Jalla loves. But the Salaf of this ummah, ikhwan, alhamdulillah, have established for us the principle, have established that qa'idah for us. And thus, ikhwan, determining when we can work with the likes of those people, what type of scenario, is not something that returns back to any Tom, Dick or Khalifa. Al-Imam Ikhwan Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, after he mentions the statement that was quoted by Abu Hassan and by Abu Usaama, he goes on to mention فَإِنَّ أَقْوَامًا جَعَلُوا ذَلِكَ عَامًا. After mentioning that, some of the statements that have come from our Imam were statements that were mentioned to particular individuals. He said, فَإِنَّ أَقْوَامًا جَعَلُوا ذَلِكَ عَامًا فَاسْتَعْمَلُوا مِنَ الْحَجَرِ وَالْإِنْكَارِ ما لم يؤمروا به فلا يجب ولا يستحب وربما تركوا به واجبات أو مستحبات. He said that some of the people have made that general and then they have utilized hajar, boycotting, or making inkar against someone, speaking against someone with something that they were not commanded to do, and it is not wajib or even desirable. And it is possible that they have left alone by way of this wajibat or mustahabbat, that they left alone things that were wajib or desirable. وَفَعَلُوا بِهِ مُحَرَّمَاتٍ, and they fell into that which is haram. They fell into that which was haram. The likes of those who go beyond bounds, يعني al-Haddadiyya, the likes of those who enter into ghulu, the likes of the Khawarij and those individuals of bid'ah, and the likes of those who speak ill of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, making inkar, ikhwan, that is mabghud lillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. To speak against Ahlus Sunnah, inkar, that is disliked by Allah Azza wa Jal, just as speaking against the people of haqq in any time is something that is disliked by Allah Azza wa Jal. And so it may be that a person uses the affair of hajar out of context in the wrong place, and thus they end up making inkar against individuals, ikhwan, who it is not wajib or it is not desirable even for them to make inkar against, or that they leave alone that which is wajib or that which is desirable and they fall into muharramat. Then listen to the statement of Shaykh al-Islam. وَآخَرُونَ أَعْرَضُوا عَنْ ذَلِكَ بِالْكُلِّيَّةِ. And then there is another group of individuals. So we have those who go beyond bounds as it relates to hajar and boycotting. Then we have another group who turn away from that completely. Turn away from that in completion. فَلَمْ يَهْجُرُوا مَا أَمَرُوا بِهَجْرِهِ مِنَ السَّيِّئَاتِ الْبِدْعِيَّةِ. And so they do not boycott what they were commanded to boycott. And that is from the sayyi'at al-bid'iyya, from the evils of bid'ah. بَلْ تَرَكُوهَا تَرْكَ الْمُعْرِضِ. Rather they turn away from that. They leave it and they turn away from it. They leave it and they turn away from it. وَلَا تَرْكَ الْمَنْهِ الْمُنْتَهِ الْكَارِهِ. Not with the turning away of the one who dislikes or has that dislike. Rather they just turn away from boycotting the people of bid'ah, not out of dislike for them. أو وقعوا فيها, or they actually fall into it. وقد يتركونها ترك المنتهي الكاره, but they may leave it with the leaving of one who dislikes it. ولا ينهون عنها غيرهم, but they do not warn anyone other than themselves against it. We don't hear kalimat istinkar. We don't hear any word against the people of innovation. ولا يعاقبون بالهجرة ونحوها من يستحق العقوبة عليها. And we do not see them utilizing as a form of punishment al-hajar, boycotting and its like, the one who deserves it. فيكونون قد ضيعوا من النهي عن المنكر ما أمروا به إيجابا أو استحبابا فهم بين فعل المنكر أو ترك المنهي عنه. And so you see them causing to fall to the wayside the affair of prohibiting the evil, the likes of that which they were commanded with, a command which is either wajib or desirable. And so they are between doing something that is evil or leaving something that is prohibited. أو يعني فعل المنكر أو ترك النهي عنه. They are either between leaving evil, doing evil, or leaving prohibiting evil. So they either do evil by falling into it, or they leave alone prohibiting it. وذلك فعل ما نهوا عنه وترك ما أمروا به. And that is by way of them doing what they were prohibited, and either falling into bid'ah or making the incorrect inkar, or that they leave alone what they were commanded with, and that is them making the rad and making hajar of the people of bid'ah. If we continue reading and we see how clearly affair becomes, ikhwan, and what Shaykh al-Islam is really saying, ikhwan. He said, وَدِينُ اللَّهِ وَسَطٌ بَيْنَ الْغَالِي فِيهِ وَالْجَافِي عَنْهُ وَاللَّهُ سُبْحَانَهُ أَعْلَمُ. The deen of Allah Azza wa Jal is wasat, is a balance between those who go beyond bounds and into extremism and excessiveness, and between al-jafi anhu, and between those who are negligent concerning it. But ikhwan, no doubt, if we're quoting from the reference of Abu Hassan, then we wouldn't have come across that final speech and those final words and statements of Shaykh al-Islam, because Abu Hassan didn't actually quote them. He finished at the same place that Abu Usaama finished at. And thus, ikhwan, the manhaj of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah is one that is wadih, crystal clear. And Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah are well aware and well acquainted with the games that are played by those who oppose the people of Sunnah from those who claim to be upon the way of Ahlus Sunnah and the way of Salafiyah. But as we mentioned, ikhwan, this tala'ub, these games, and this playing with the methodology and with the manhaj, while claiming to be upon it, is nothing but shinshinatun na'rifuha min akhzam. And inshaAllah, ikhwan, we'll continue with the next point of resemblance between Abu Usaama and Abu Hassan in the next sitting. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد.